Canva buzz. Hello everyone, my name is Jenna, but you guys can call me Jen. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to the start of another weekend vlog. Apologies, I do not have my little mic. It's currently sitting on my desk and I have a baby on my feet, so regular sound it is. Goodness gracious, it is Saturday, my friends. I'm here. I have no plans today, so this is where I'm gonna remain for the rest of the day. I would like to finish this book today, Nightshade and Oak, get one last book in February down, and then, I don't know, I'm just gonna hang out. But yeah, it's the weekend. I would like to do a little bit of work on Sage's story. It would be nice to sort of pick that up again. Also, I got some knitting that I've been doing. Been watching Gab and Jack play through Resident Evil 9, which has been really fun and kind of fun to see the way that they play it. So different. My goodness gracious, it has been a crazy fast week, but long, and I'm so tired. Yesterday, my friends and I went to the Emily Austin event here in my city, which was really fun. She came to our local indie bookstore and ended up doing an event, which was really cool. She signed it, yay. My friends and I went to just like a nearby restaurant, got dinner, and then afterwards we went to a cheesecake place in my city called Baked Expectations. Then we went back to one of my friend's houses, Hannah and Samuel's house, just to hang out and eat cheesecake, which was very delicious and so fun. So love that. But yes, now I have this signed and I'm going to be reading it soon because it sounds wonderful. Lesbian librarian, coming back to work after a mental breakdown. There's book banning and censorship stuff going on at the library, that kind of a thing. So excited to explore Emily Austin's work and that kind of a thing. But yes, I would like to get Nightshade and Oak done today by Molly O'Neill. I just haven't been reading all this week. I've been so distracted by so many different things. I've either been sitting here pretending to do writing stuff or just scrolling forever or building memes on Canva. I ended up finding an account on TikTok, stumbling across it that was like giving a bunch of marketing advice, which I usually don't engage with those videos that are all like, you're doing TikTok wrong, you should be doing XYZ, and I don't really engage with that. But every once in a while I stumble across one that's specifically for authors and like the advice is actually good and they give you content ideas. And so I wrote down, I like did a little in-depth kind of situation. I found a video that was like, there's like 4 different kinds of content you can be doing for your marketing and that kind of a thing. And then I went in deeper into her account and was just writing down different like content ideas, which was really interesting. And then I just started kind of doing a couple of them. I have this thing where if I do content ideas and I make them and I schedule them on TikTok, I just want to share them all immediately, which is not what, that's not what you're supposed to I'm using them for like days of content, so I don't have to think constantly of different things. But now I have a whole master list of different ideas and like things to think about when making content. So that's nice because it's exhausting as an indie author doing everything, you know? I guess even an author in general, because really today, in today's world, how much marketing do publishers really put in after your book is launched, right? Even before. Some people don't get a lot of marketing done, so you're kind of doing that on your own. But marketing is a skill that I would really like to learn better, especially when it comes to my books. Even though I have not had a single month where I have not sold a book on Amazon. I have had a couple where like a physical book hasn't sold on Ingram Spark, which I'm not as mad about because those are usually picked up by indie bookstores and libraries. They can go through Ingram Spark, so I'm not expecting like a sale every month from those. And then I also on Draft to Digital been selling pretty regularly, at least 1 or 2 copies a month, which is not a lot. I would like to be selling a lot more books, obviously, but it's really nice to know because like a second story, I think I've sold a copy every single month, if not like give or take a couple. And that's my very first book that came out in 2023. So the fact that it's still selling, it's still moving, it kind of tells me that I'm doing something right. Despite it being like not near the numbers of, not even close to the numbers of some of these really big indie authors, it does make me quite happy. And I really appreciate all the support that I get, especially when some of my mutuals on TikTok read my book and then talk about it, like that is the highest form of praise, is for someone to, one, decide to even pick up your book, and two, to actually read it and then talk about it on top of that. Like I know a lot of them, that's their shit, like that's what they do, like they're book reviewers and they talk about books and stuff like that. But when they talk about my book, that shit makes me so happy. So if you're looking to make an indie author's day, talk about their book. Gift it to someone else. Like I know Julie, my beautiful friend Julie, she gifts my books to her friends, and she's gifted so many books of mine. Like I think she's bought like at least 10 copies of my books at this point to gift to people, and that makes me so happy and just like, oh my god, that's so sweet. And I just, oh, I can't. When people read my books, I love it so much. And then when they tell me that they love my book, I love it even more. So yes, thank you guys so much for just being amazing. Marketing is exhausting, but I like having ideas, or like at least a list of like potential things that I can always come back to for different ideas to try and kind of jog some kind of thoughts and stuff. Like I can do a few of these in like either a 7-second reel or TikTok video, or I can do like the carousel, the photo carousel. So I can do different kinds of content and stuff like that. And it made me think of different ways to do this marketing thing. Because not only do I have one book to market, I have 4. And then I am also kind of gently like working in some stuff about Sage's story, which is also making me excited about Sage's story. I was gonna grab my iPad, but I remembered it's charging over there to show you some of the memes that I created, because I think they're funny and they're all Far Horizons related. So I'll flash a couple on the screen during this, but it's so much fun to play with memes. Especially this kind of uptick in, if you're on TikTok, you've seen kind of in the comments that like people are using meme reactions, so just photos in the comments of stuff that are just so funny. And I love using meme reactions for things, and I've been kind of building a couple different meme reaction banks and doing them with Far Horizon specifically, and it was so fun. It was so fun. So that was one evening this week. I'm tired, but I would like to do some reading and potentially some writing. Last weekend I did pick up Sage's story. I reread the prologue and edited it a little bit. Every time I reread that prologue, I edit it a touch. I go back in and I kind of change some words and stuff, but I am so proud and so happy of the prologue of this book. Every time I read it, I get more and more excited about it because I think it's just such a banger. And there's a couple lines and sentences in that prologue that I'm like, this is fucking holy shit. Like thematic, on point. I love it. And then the fact that like from the prologue to chapter 1, the tone shift is completely different, because it's no longer like it's not the same narrator, it's not the same POV, it's not any of that, and it's Sage now in chapter 1 rather than the prologue is something completely different. So it's I love that tonal difference so much, because that's the point. Like it is showing where we're gonna get to with the prologue, but like chapter 1 is also what we have going on. It's a little bit more fun, a little bit more funny. I don't know, but yeah, I really need to just kind of sink in and reread what I have and then just start getting back into the writing groove. I would really, really like to March, just get a good chunk of this draft done, as much of it as I can. It would be really great if I could like bang out like a couple thousand words every day. I'm kind of thinking of doing a little bit of a routine where I write for at least an hour a day with a couple day breaks here and there. I think Mondays and Tuesdays are probably gonna be my break days because I work 2 jobs on those days. So I'm kind of like tossing around that idea of doing a little bit of an experiment to like see if I can implement a writing routine again. So we'll see. I mean, I say that we'll see, and tomorrow is March 1st, so we shall see if that happens, aka if my brain decides to give that a try. I think it'd be kind of cool to actually implement like a set time every day where I just sit down and work on my book exclusively, because I really want to implement a writing routine, you know? And I want to like actually get good productivity down, good progress down on things, all sorts of stuff. But anyways, my friends, the weekend's gonna be very, very chill. Tomorrow, I might go to my friends. I have yet to decide if I want to. They're doing a Studio Ghibli movie night. And if I do go, I would only go for the first movie, and then I go over to mom and dad's for dinner. But I also just want to sit on my couch because I am so tired. So we'll see if I end up going tomorrow. I mean, it'll be fun no matter what. So perhaps But otherwise, today we're going to be working on my Sophie hood. I'm nearly done the right side. Everything is so tangled because I just keep turning it every once in a while. I'm doing the right side hood decreases, the shaping of the hood. We're going to be finally starting on the opposite side of this hood and then doing the scarf portion. Anyways. But yes, I will let you all know when I've got something more to update you on. But currently I'm just really relaxed, doing some knitting, got my baby on my feet, and I'm watching Gab play through Resident Evil 9, which has been really enjoyable. So anyways, my friends, wait, what's the matter? Why don't you stick your butt up in the air? There you go. Hi, babies. Oh, you're so sleepy. Oh, you're such a sleepy girl. Want to say hi to the vlog? Oh, it's a baby. Oh, yeah. Anyways, friends, I'll catch up with you a little later. But welcome to the vlog. Hello, friends. Happy Saturday. It is late, aka early. And I wanted to pop in and give y'all some reading news because I not only finished a book but started another. Who is she? A reader? Who knew? I'm so sleepy. So I'm gonna make this update quick, relatively. But I did wrap up Molly O'Neill's book, Nightshade and Oak. It was okay. I think it was pretty decent. It didn't catch me like Green Teeth did. Obviously, Green Teeth is a favorite book. But this one, there's something about it that just like I didn't quite grasp. I didn't quite connect to the characters. I don't know. There was something about it that just didn't quite hit for me as much as I wanted it to, but it was still enjoyable. I love a quest to the underworld. I love when a book also like you get to the end game of what the characters set out to do and you're like still at the beginning of the book and you're like, oh, okay, what's gonna happen next? Like we set up a quest at the beginning of this and we've achieved that, so what's next? And I love when a book does that. I find it kind of fascinating because it kind of leaves like a lot of intrigue open. It's very fun. Anyways, so finish that up. I think I'm gonna give it like a 3.5 star, probably. Haven't run it through Copal yet, but we shall find out when I get there. And then I started a new arc. I didn't finish my arc that I was reading last week. I started Aicha last week. I'm 30% of the way through that, but this week I'm just so into this one book. It's called Green and Deadly Things. It's the new Jenn Lyons book, and I really, really enjoyed her previous book, The Sky on Fire, which is also a fantasy standalone, and the Green and Deadly Things is a fantasy standalone as well, which I love. I love a little fantasy standalone so much. They're so intriguing. But I got this arc, and Julie was reading it, and she just finished it, I think, today. I've just been kind of itching to read it all week. I not only got the arc, I got the ALC as well. So thank you so much to the publisher for giving me not only the e-arc, but the audio arc as well, because that is my preferred way of reading anything, obviously, in tandem. So I'm enjoying myself immensely with this book. Top to bottom, it's so fun. Like, it just has such an energy to it, which is so fantastic. I love a good voicey book, and this one I think is pretty voicey. So I'm having a great time. Let me put you there for just a second here. Terrible angle, but scooch. Okay. But I did write down the first lines, if you will, because they were so fascinating. And the prologue of this, holy shit. What a great prologue. Like, it does exactly what I personally want prologues to do as an author and as a reader, and that is set up something that sets up an expectation for what we are possibly facing in this book, much like with George R.R. Martin. The prologue to the very first book in Game of Thrones is that we are given a glimpse at the winter zombies, ice zombies, right? And then we don't see them for books, but that first prologue sets it up that we are going to expect this kind of magic in this world. And then we spend a whole bunch of time with the books, with the characters in the books going, these characters don't believe in magic, and yet we fucking know that there's magic because we saw it in the prologue to this fucking book. So we're just like stressed the whole time going, when are these people going to realize there's magic? When are these people going to realize the ice zombies exist? All that kind of stuff. And what I personally want to do if I ever include a prologue in a book is I want to set up tone expected, a place where we are going. I always love kind of setting up the danger as well. Like not even like describing the danger
in full. No, just a glimpse, a little like poke at something that is coming. And I think it is such a fascinating way to kind of introduce someone to a story, because a prologue is, if it's done well, you're dropped into a story and you don't know what the fuck is happening, which is, I think, honestly, the reason why a lot of people don't like a prologue a whole lot, or they think it should just be considered the first chapter of a book, which is a lot of prologues. I will say a lot of prologues are just the first chapters of books, but when a prologue is done properly, I think it can be really fascinating and can really set up a reader for a fascinating experience. Like, I'm thinking also of Strange the Dreamer. With that prologue, we see something that happens way later in the book. It is something that I remember reading and then immediately forgetting until I got to that part, and then I burst into tears because I didn't want to believe it was real, even though I had already read it. Like, it's this moment of just like, holy motherfuck. And I know, like, Brandon Sanderson in his Way of Kings, he has multiple prologues, which don't do that. Don't do a Brandon Sanderson, but he's, prolific writer, so he can do whatever the fuck he wants at this point. Those prologues set up so much in the story. We set up the story of the kings, which I still don't know what that means in the realm of that whole series in the Stormlight Archives. I don't know what that means. But then it also sets up with the most interesting prologue out of the bunch, in my opinion. It's also the one that I remember the most clearly, other than the king's one, is that there is this assassin who has come to kill a king. He does not want to be killing this king, and he cries as he does it. And then what we get after that is like the aftermath of that attack and whatever. Excuse me, losing my voice a little bit. But with my prologue in Far Horizons Book 1, we see a glimpse at the villain and what they're doing before anything is really starting on the island. It's not clear that it's like before or anything. It's just very clear what time of year it's being set as because of the weather and the heat, the oppressive nature of the air. And so when my crew arrives, the air is going to be different. It's going to be cooler. It's going to be more fall, right? Because it's much later in the year. It just establishes this link of tone, of this gentle terror and horror that I want to be bringing into it. Anyways, I love a good prologue, and what this prologue does in Green and Deadly Things is that it introduces what the central kind of like fear is in this book. It's this unrelenting, terrifying new thing that is coming to hurt and destroy, and it sort of. I don't want to spoil anything because this book is not yet published, and obviously not many people have read it. But like, the opening line is, "We know who woke the queens," and then it goes, "His name was Cadamus Abagon. He was neither knight nor king, wizard nor priest, but rather an unremarkable manager of middling talent and minor ability, assigned to Kiogmar Lumber Company's most remote logging camp in the Parnassa forest." I read that, I cackled, and then I could not put the book down. I am now 53% of the way through, and I would still be reading it if it wasn't 5 after 3 a.m. in the morning. Like, this book, what the prologue does so beautifully is that it's basically a cold open, which I love. I love considering a prologue a cold open to a show. Like, in Criminal Minds, your cold open is always the crime happening or just about to happen or someone stumbling upon about it. Like, it's all this different stuff. It's terrifying. It gives you just a slice of what's going on. It's supposed to evoke emotion in the watcher. It's supposed to make you go, holy fuck, what's happening? It's supposed to like pin you to your seat so that you can figure out who did this to this person, why, all this kind of stuff, and you can go forward from there. And that's what the episode will cover, right? When a prologue is done well, I think they should be like this, exactly like what Jenn Lyons did. It is a cold open to this story. It sets up the problem that our characters eventually go and investigate, because there was a letter sent by these people saying that these Grimmocks attacked, and Grimmock in this world is considered this, like, it used to be considered a a necromantic creature, but it has kind of expanded into being just any creature that is unnatural or controlled by magic. They're like, okay, well, we believe these Grimmicks have attacked, and it's specifically plant Grimmicks. And so all these people go, and our main character, Math, he has like an affinity for plants that he doesn't want people really to know of, and he gets called on this journey even though he's not really truly a knight yet. He really desperately wants to be, but in this world, to be a knight is to be able to summon your own weapon. He can't do that yet, and he doesn't know if he ever will be able to. So he just kind of exists as a novitiate kind of person. He takes care of the younger kids, occasionally falls asleep for 4 days in a meditative state, and wakes up covered in plants because plants and him have a really interesting relationship going on. He gets offered up for this journey to go investigate the crime scene, essentially, because of his kind of heightened affinity for plants that the order knows of. So it's like a very Knights Order type situation. They have a lot of rules and stuff like that. So he goes and he notices a lot of stuff about these plants that he's like, this is very dangerous specifically for me, because if people perceive this incorrectly, they will perceive me as a threat, even though this is not, like, he can tell the difference, but he knows that people will not be able to tell the difference because plants are plants. They see vines, they would see his vines, and they would go, same thing, right? So you are a threat, kind of a thing. And the horror and the body gore in this, oh, they're exceptionally well done. Ooh, I love it. I love it so much. I sent Julie a text, which she hasn't read yet because she is fully asleep. But like, I sent her a text a couple hours ago, and I was like, I was reading a whole scene really boiled down to the fact that there was a train derailment, lots of people are dead, and Math is currently attacking a tree creature with an axe with no mercy. It is a very violent scene. There's a lot of death, a lot of gore, a lot of violence, and like that description, of course. I'm just like, I'm having so much fun. It's just like, this book is genuinely so fun. I'm having such a great time. And it's so dark, but it's also like the tone isn't dark. I don't know. I said this with The Poet Empress. The Poet Empress is definitely more somber of a tone, but the tone of our main character is a little bit more like conversational as she's, sharing her story and going through this information. It is not a tonally dark, horrific story. The content is dark and horrific. The tone of the story is not. This book, content, dark, horrific, gory, I have genuinely giggled at a few lines here and there. Like, it is not a light story, but the tone in which it's given to you is a perfect match for the dark, gory horror vibes, because comedy and horror go hand in hand to me, because it's literally just about the tone in which you share something. It's like romance. Like, romance and horror are like a very thin line, and it's all about context and like in which you kind of receive things and how you feel, right? Because like the touch of someone that you want is romantic. The touch of someone that you very much aren't expecting or do not want is horrific. You know what I mean? Like, it's the line of which something happens is all about context. And I think when you were handling something with so much horror and gore and violence in such a like lighthearted, tongue-in-cheek kind of, like, it's not even that lighthearted. I don't know how to describe the tone of this book very well, but it's aware. It's it's self-aware, and it's fun. Like, there are funny lines, and it's kind of like there's our main character, and he accidentally also raises a super ancient necromancer from the dead at some point. Fun. So, and they're going on a quest together. That's essentially this book. He and her are having this conversation, and she's poking fun at the fact that men, when they sit with their taking up, they manspread, right? She's making fun of this because she's like, do you guys just have abnormally large testicles? And he he's just like, fucking no. I don't know if it's a cultural thing. Like, he's so uncomfy, and she's having the time of her life, just like ragging on him for having big balls. And it's just funny as fuck. Like, it just, like, there's little things like that like bring levity in and make it so compulsively readable and consumable. And I think as an author, I look at that, I'm just turning everything back to me as an author, because I'm genuinely so in the headspace of creativity and like writing and like thinking about and analyzing worlds and stories and stuff, that I'm just like, as an author, this is this and this. But as an author, seeing the way that other authors handle tone and voice and different kinds of things, like even though I didn't super love the Molly O'Neill book, it was fascinating to see how Molly O'Neill, one author, was able to do such a different voice from Green Teeth to The Nightshade and Oak, because a lot of authors just have one singular voice and it's very much just their storytelling voice, which is totally fine. But when you get someone who can do such a unique voice with their characters and their narrators, it's fascinating, and I want to study it because I want to make sure that when I'm writing, I am doing something kind of like that with my characters, because I do multi POVs. I don't want all my POVs to feel very similar. I want them to, feel unique in their own way while still kind of meshing with my narrative style, right? And then getting to see tone, which is something that I'm gonna hopefully be kind of playing with Far Horizons, because I want the books to have horror elements. I want them to be spooky. Like, I have a fucking necromancer on the loose, of course. Like, there is shit happening. It's darker. It's, epic, and I'm not gonna shy away from the stuff like this. And reading Green and Deadly Things, I can see exactly the tone that I kind of want to hit, and it makes me happy. Like, this book, before going in, I love that I said that I wanted this update to be short, and it's 18 minutes now. But like, before going into this book, I had heard the like the gist of it, the pitch of it, if you will, as just a necromantic fantasy type situation. And I went in going, oh, this could possibly be a really good comp for Sages, like for Far Horizons. Like, I went into this going, I might be able to use this as a comp when I'm querying. I'm so excited about that. And then I started reading it and I was like, no, not at all. But now that I'm thinking about it, maybe, like, it's not the kind of comp that people usually want in marketing, but it is something that I could probably use in my personal marketing of the book. Maybe not necessarily in querying, but I like personal marketing or like personal inspiration behind the book, because the story is so different. It doesn't even deal with necromancy in a typical necromancy way that we think. It's fascinating. I'm loving this book, if you couldn't tell. But what I think is hitting a chord with me is the tone of this book. Do I think I'll be able to match it? Absolutely fucking not. But I do love the fact that I'm reading it and that I will now go forth with this knowledge of how an author does it in my head. I find it fascinating, truly. And it's making me want to reread Jenn Lyon's previous book, The Sky on Fire, and also read her other books of that whole series. I have one of them tucked away in my yellow cabinet there. I can see it, The Rune of Kings, because I want to see how she tells stories. Like, this is really where my brain is at right now. I really just want to investigate how authors are telling stories. I don't know how that's helpful in my shit, but like in some weird effervescent like osmosis way, maybe it'll be helpful to me in actually writing Far Horizons. I don't know. But anyways, long story short, preamble short, finished a book today and I started another book today. I did low-key kind of want to try and squeeze Green and Deadly Things into the end of February, but I did start reading it at midnight. So yes, I've been reading it for 3 hours and I'm 50% of the way through. So like, if I really wanted to, I could have this done by 6 a.m., but I'm not going to do that to myself. I'm going to go to bed and I'll finish it tomorrow. And it'll just be the first book of March. And that's totally fine. So we ended up finishing 7 books in February. Not as many as I thought there was going to be, because I was on a real roll there for a little bit and then I just totally petered off in the last week. But I feel like reading Green and Deadly Things is going to have an interesting kickstart of my reading. And I think March is going to be good for reading and for writing, because I think I'm going to do that writing experiment. I think I'm going to do that, like, write for at least an hour every day type of experiment to see what I get done. Freya's sitting in her box right now and she's looking at the Roku like loading screen. Oh, she stopped because I moved, but I have the Roku loading screen and her in her little box. She was staring at it for a while. Anyways, my friends, that is the update. That is what's happening. I'm gonna go to bed. My whole place smells like soup, like onions a little bit, because I cooked soup earlier. Very delicious soup. Not a delicious smell. And I'm concerned that it's in me and in my hair now, because I washed my hair today. And if you have curly hair, you know that's a bullshit situation, because if I have to wash my hair again tomorrow, so much fucking work. Did all that work today. I don't want to do it again tomorrow. Anyways. I'll catch you guys tomorrow for Sunday. But yeah, reading news, all good things, having a great time, doing lots of thinking with my little brain. But it's been a good time.
because Mama was so close to biting those fingies. Oh, a nibble. Look at all this hair. You got so much hair. You're so fluffy and soft. Yeah. What are you doing? Hi. Hello. Baby girl, baby girl. Okay? I'll see you in a couple hours. Yeah. Hello, my beautiful friends. Happy Monday. Welcome to sort of the end of the vlog. I always say that and then I ramble for a really long time, so we'll see how long I ramble for this time. But it's officially the end of the weekend and we're into the start of a week. So technically the end of the whole vlog. This weekend, I read some stuff, didn't work on anything Sage story wise, but I did decide to do that writing experiment. So I did not start it today. I think I'm going to start the vlog tomorrow and properly start working on that experiment on Wednesday, because I did say Mondays and Tuesdays were going to be my days off because I work on those days, like 2 days. I work 2 jobs on those 2 days. So we'll see, unless I get the energy to write for an hour tomorrow night at 9 p.m., 10 p.m., which is usually when I write. So like maybe. We'll see, but I definitely am going to do something experimental with my writing in March, which is very exciting. So stay tuned for a writing vlog for that. But I did end up finishing Nightshade and Oak by Molly O'Neill, which I did enjoy the reading experience of. It wasn't a favorite, wasn't a standout, but definitely was good. Well done, well written. We love that. Quest to the underworld to save a soul and magic, and then a lot of other stuff happens. So love this, and it's also sapphic, so you can't go wrong with a little sapphicness. I will say I'm a little annoyed at the ending, but I'm choosing to believe my own little canonical ending in my head, so we're just gonna ignore the actual ending. I created a new ending in my head that I like better. But then I started this arc, which Green and Deadly Things by Jenn Lyons. I am officially 76% of the way through, and I am fucking loving this book. I'm having so much fun. As I went on a very long preamble earlier about the tone of this, it's just so readable. And if you are okay with a little bit of gore and body violent type stuff, you will be fine with this. But if like body gore, violence, a lot of that horror, body horror type stuff bothers you, maybe avoid this one. Or like try a little bit of it just to see, get it from the library, don't actually buy it. But I'm having a great time because I love that kind of content. I like when things get a little gross. And I think this is handled really, really, really well because it is balanced with humor. And that is really the gist of what I was trying to say yesterday, is that anything that is balanced with humor, especially horror and humor, like comedy and darkness, go perfectly well together because they're 2 sides of the same coin kind of a thing, right? Like romance and horror, it's all about context, all that kind of stuff. So I think this is a really fascinating read. I could probably use it for a comp now that I'm thinking about it a little harder for Far Horizons if I wanted to really market it as something that was more of a horror. We shall see it once I get to the end of writing it. But right now, where I'm at, I am marketing it in my head. Where is my little notebook? It's way in my purse here. My Far Horizons notebook. I have at the very beginning of this notebook a query letter comp list right at the top. Empire of Exiles, of course. And then I also wrote down The Raven Scholar because those are both fantasy mysteries. I think that's really interesting. I also wrote down the show The Mighty Nine, or like a Critical Role, because I think the fact that it's made into an animated show now, I could easily use that for marketing for the found family vibes of things, and it gets the D&D across because that is the tone I want to go for, is something along the lines of like a D&D campaign fun vibes with a lot of fucking shit happening in the background, because I think that balance is so necessary when not like if you're setting out to write a book that is horrifying and that is the atmosphere that you're going for, all this kind of stuff, that's great. I'm setting out to write a book that is fun, enjoyable, dark as fuck,
but also something that people fall in love with and gets that like found family kind of D&D vibe across. Like that is the goal, that is the end game, that is what I want to do with this book. So I'm really trying to find adventure novels like that I can use as comps with that found family aspect of it. And I think one, Empire of Exiles is number one in my mind for fantasy mystery, and The Raven Scholar, because again, fantasy mystery. So like those are my two fantasy mystery comps that I could definitely use. And then of course, now that I have the show The Mighty Nine in my head, I could definitely use that as a comp because that's recent. I don't know, like I've been thinking of other possibilities of comps, and I genuinely can't really think of one that would hit the tone of adventure family found family vibe that I'm looking for, like The Mighty Nine does. You know what I mean? So that's great. But this one I might bring in if I really lean into the horror. Obviously, I don't know because I haven't fucking written the book. You know what I mean? I gotta write the goddamn book to hit this tone, right? If I really want to lean into the horror of things, then I would use Green and Deadly Things as a comp because it hits the humor horror juxtaposition that I would want to hit with the book. You know what I mean? So Far Horizons right now in my head is living as a Critical Role's Mighty Nine meets The Raven Scholar, Empire of Exiles meets Green and Deadly Things with a dash of Pirates of the Caribbean. Because why not? Because why not? That is where I'm sitting at with this. But I really, really like the way that my brain went this vlog with thinking about prologues and what I really want to hit with my prologues. And I hope it was kind of helpful to think of for anyone out there who's a writer or a creator or a storyteller of any kind. Like cold opens, prologues, that whole thing, they go together hand in hand for me, especially in big fantasy books, because I think that is my preferred prologue is a cold open, because it does something like it casts a net of intrigue. Yeah, you don't know what the fuck is happening. You're not supposed to, right? I don't know. I had a really good time with that, thinking about all that. But I think I want to. Can I clip this to my glasses and have it be an okay sound? Can I clip it to my glasses? Okay. We'll see what that sounds like. This is really all just experiments at this point. I needed both hands for this. This looks hilarious. But, anyways, I wanted to read you a little bit of the prologue that I've got written of Sage's story. It is going to change, probably. Although I am very, very happy with how this sets out and how it starts. But I definitely have been thinking about how chapter 1 starts. And I need to fully like manipulate the beginning a little bit of that a little bit, because I've been like daydreaming edits in my head at night, which is so funny. I just haven't actually edited it. Anyways, the prologue for Far Horizons. The beginning, anyways. Heat coated her bones as she breathed in, holding the heavy midnight air deep in her chest. After such a warm day, the air was thick with moisture. By the shore, the air would be much cooler, a gentle breeze flowing off the waves to cool the sweat on the back of your neck. Here, in the quiet of the island, the air was still and dead. What they needed was a storm to tear through, to break the tension. Towering shadows of trees and broken stones stood solid and stoic against the star-drenched night sky. She dragged her bloodied hand through her hair, forgetting she had braided it back hours before. Blasted sea, she swore beneath her breath, the seafaring swear etched into her very marrow from years on the ocean. She shook her hair out, letting it fall loose around her shoulders, ignoring the blood she had smeared through it. So much for that. The body next to her stirred, whimpering softly. And I'm going to leave it there because honestly, I could just keep going and I could keep reading. But I think that is a really fun way to kind of prologue it in. I have a line in here I really want to read you that I am so proud of. So don't come at me for it, okay? Don't tell me it's bad because I think it's fantastic. But like right near the end of the prologue, this is one of the lines. The pale threads of power wound down into its fur, beyond the shriveling muscle and dead tissue, until the wolf stood with nothing more than the hint of its past self draped over a skeleton of dread. Are you telling me that my brain cooked that up? Who the fuck? Who the fuck? And then chapter 1 is going to start with, it currently starts with, stories can teach you a lot. What they don't teach you, though, is that when you're trying to become a notable hero, when you're trying to make a name for yourself, you need to do basic jobs just to scrape by. This is going to change so much. But what I think it's going to end up being is something along the lines of like, we're going to cut from that like kind of moody atmospheric prologue, and then the first chapter of Far Horizons is going to start with just the sea snake like ripped apart in front of her or something. Like it's just going to be brutal action moment of like a sea snake fucking getting decimated by like an axe or something in front of Sage. and her getting like covered in gore. So that's where I'm at because I think that fun tonal shift is going to be like, this is what you can kind of expect, but this is where we're at now type of tone shift. And I think that's fun. Anyways, that is what I have for you, my friends. It's been an interesting weekend. I got to meet Emily Austin on Friday. So fun. Got my book signed. Hung out with my friends for a while. Saturday, reading all the things. Had a great time. Sunday, did fuck all. And ended up going to mom and dad's for dinner. And then coming home and doing a little more reading of Green and Deadly Things. I'm still not done it because I didn't read very much yesterday. I just sat and knitted a lot. I am now working on the like second side of my Sophie hood. Let's put you back on the glasses. We'll see. Oh, come on. You got to hook to the glasses, my guy. We'll see if this works for sound. But what I have right now is you can actually start seeing the shape of the hood part of it. So like where all these tags are, this is the long scarf portion. It goes forever. Holy shit. There it is. Scarf portion. And then this is where the hood starts. And then this, where this is, it's like, this is the top of the hood. And this is where things are going to start like wrapping down, and then we're going to go back into the other side of the hood. So that's where I'm at with this. I've been having a lot of fun knitting, getting back into like just having something to do with my hands, which has been really fun. And of course, reading and thinking about pirates. But yes, my friends, stay tuned. If you are not yet subscribed, please do so. Hit the bell icon so you know when I upload. It's every Tuesday and Friday. March is going to be a good month. I have a good feeling. Hopefully everything works out. Life-wise, things are good. Spring is coming. I wish you all a wonderful March as well. I'll catch you in another video very, very soon, my friends. Stay kind and keep on reading.